Hello, this is preparation for NSE4 exam, Fortinet. This is part 24, and now we will talk about phases of IKE, Internet Key Exchange for IPsec VPN. Phase 1, each peer of the tunnel is initiator and responder, connects and begins to set up the VPN. On the first connection, the channel is not secure. Unencrypted keychain be intercepted. To change sensitive private keys, both peers create a secure channel. Both peers negotiate real keys for the tunnel later. So when first peers connect, the channel is not secure. An attacker in the middle could intercept unencrypted keys. Neither peer has a strong guarantee of the other peer's identity. So, question: how can they exchange sensitive private keys? Answer: no, they cannot exchange sensitive private keys. First, they create secure channel, secure tunnel, and then they use this secure tunnel to negotiate real keys for the tunnel later. Phase 1. How it works. Authenticate peers. They have PSK, pre-shared key, or digital signature. XAuth, it's an additional method. In Internet Key Exchange version 1, IKE version 1, there are two possible modes in which the IKE SA, which is a security association, negotiation can take place. There is a main mode and aggressive mode. Then negotiate the one bidirectional SA called IKE SA, Internet Key Exchange Security Association. Settings on both ends must agree, otherwise Phase 1 negotiation fails, and both IPsec peers are not able to establish secure channel. Step 3 is DH. DH stands for Diffie-Hellman Exchange for Secret Keys. Diffie-Hellman DH uses the public key that both ends know, and plus a mathematical factor called a nonce in order to generate a common private key. With Diffie-Hellman, even an attacker can listen to the messages containing the public keys, but they cannot determine what is the private key, secret key. DH, Diffie-Hellman algorithm, is a key exchange protocol that enables two parties communicating over public channel to establish mutual secret without being transmitted over the internet. Phase 1 network. Phase 1 is broken down on the graphical user interface into 4 sections. First, network. Second, authentication. Third, Phase 1 proposal, and step 4, X-auth. IP version, there could be IP version 4 or IP version 6. It defines only IP version of the outer layer of the tunnel after an encapsulation. The packets are being encapsulated for protected traffic, and their IP versions defined in Phase 2 selectors. Remote gateway defines the type of the remote gateway. There are three types of remote gateway. Three types: static IP address, dial-up user, and dynamic DNS, domain name servers, domain name systems. IP address. This field appears only when you select static IP address as a remote gateway. Interface. It refers to the interface where IPsec tunnel terminates on the local FortiGate. Usually, this is the interface connected to the internet or the whole wide area network WAN. You need to make sure that an active route to the remote gateway through this interface, otherwise the tunnel will not come up. Local gateway. There is a toggle. You can enable or disable this setting when the interface where the tunnel terminates has multiple addresses assigned, and you want to specify which address used for this tunnel. When you enable this setting, you see three options: primary IP, then next secondary IP, and then third option is specify. Use the third option, specify, when you want to see an IP address different from the primary or secondary IP address. Mode config enables automatic configuration through IKE, Internet Key Exchange. FortiGate acts as an IKE mode config client when you enable or disable by clicking tick, putting tick in next to mode config, and you set remote gateway to dial-up user. FortiGate acts as an IKE mode config server, and more configuration options appear on graphical user interface. NAT-Traversal. NAT-Traversal controls behavior of NAT-Traversal. Keep alive frequency. When you enable NAT, network address translation traversal, FortiGate sends keep alive probes at the configured frequency. There is dead peer detection, DPD. Use this option, DPD, to detect dead tunnels. There are three DPD modes. On demand is default mode of DPD. Forward error correction, FEC. Forward error correction is a technique that you can use to reduce the number of retransmissions in IPsec tunnels established over noisy links at the expense of using more bandwidth. You can enable forward error correction on egress and on ingress, and it is only supported when you disable IPsec hardware offloading. There are advanced settings. First advanced setting is Add Route. Disable this setting if you are using dynamic routing protocol over IPsec and do not want FortiGate automatically add static routes. Second, Auto Discovery Sender advanced setting. Enabling this setting on a spoke if you want the hub to facilitate AD VPN, Auto Discovery VPN, shortcut negotiation for spokes. When enabled, the hub sends a shortcut offer to the spoke and indicates that it can establish a shortcut to the remote spoke. Auto Discovery Receiver. Negotiate an AD VPN, Auto Discovery VPN, Virtual Private Network shortcut. Exchange Interface IP. To allow the exchange of IP interface IP addresses, this allows a point-to-multipoint connection between a hub and spoke. Device creation. To instruct FortiOS to create an interface for every dial-up client. To increase performance, disable this setting in dial-up servers with many dial-up clients. Aggregate member. FortiGate allows you to aggregate multiple IPsec tunnels into a single interface. Enable aggregate member if you want tunnel to become an aggregate member. Phase 1 Network Remote Gateway. As for dial-up user, there are two roles: dial-up server and dial-up client. Dial-up server doesn't know client address. Dial-up client is always the initiator of VPN peers. FortiGate to FortiClient or third-party client, FortiGate to FortiGate or third-party gateway. Tunnel is initiated by remote users because the dial-up server doesn't know the remote peer's address. And static address or dynamic DNS. Dynamic DNS uses FQDN, fully qualified domain name. The address of the remote peer is known VPN peers, FortiGate to FortiGate or third-party gateway. Tunnel can be initiated by either peer. Use static IP address dynamic DNS when you know the remote peer's address. When setting up VPN, you can combine different types of remote gateways. Thank you.